All right. Oh, I'm a bit loud. Good morning. Welcome back. We'll start with Lamrim Kappa Guru Yoga. And what else? Refuge in Bodhicitta. Hi, Gary. From the heart of the savior of the 100 deities of Tushita, on the peak of cloud resembling clump of a screaming white fresh curd, king of Dhamma, or Nisan Lawson Drakma, please come here together with your sons. In the sky before me, on the line throne, lotus and moon, my perfect pure guru smiles with delight. Supreme field of merit from a mind of faith, please abide for 100 eons to spread the teachings. Your holy mind is the intelligence that understands the full extent of objects to be known. Your holy speech with its excellent explanations is a near ornament of those of good fortune. Your holy body is radiantly beautiful with glory renown. To you are meaningful to see, hear, and remember, are prostrate. Pleasant drinking water, various flowers, fragrant incenses, light-scented waters, and so forth. Oceans of cloud-like offerings, both actually arranged and mentally emanated. I offer to you the supreme field of merit. Whatever non-virtue of body, speech, and mind, especially those opposite to the three vows that I have collected from beginningless time, I confess each and every one with fervent regret from my heart. You strove for much learning and practice in this degenerate age and made your freedoms and richnesses meaningful by abandoning the 8 worldly concerns. Savior, we sincerely rejoice in your extensive deeds. Perfect pure holy gurus from the billion clouds of wisdom and compassion in the sky of the Dharmakaya, please let fall a rain of profound and extensive Dharma upon the receptacle of those to be subdued exactly as they need. May whatever virtue I've collected benefit the teachings and all transmigratory beings, and in particular may it cause the essence of perfect pure Lawson Drakpa's teachings to shine forever. Sa-shi po-ki Geshe Lamrim Lamrim Nidegempadi Sangye Shindu Mikte Owa Giro Kunamda Shilan Chopashu. By the merits of having offered this mandala to Lama Tsongkhapa and his 2 sons, may I, my family members, and all sentient beings be able to meet, practice, and actualize the teachings of the victorious one, Lawson Drakpa, who had a morality of eminently pure way of life, was courageous in extensive conduct of the sons of the victorious ones, and accomplished the yoga of the 2 stages of supreme bliss and emptiness. Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kamniyataya. But the force of having fervently requested in this way, whole of being of white light are emitted from the hearts of the perfect pure Father and Sons, and combining into one enter my crown. White nectar, the color of milk, flows from the opening of 2 of white light, cleansing all my sicknesses, spirit harms, negative karmas, obscurations, and the imprints without exception. My body becomes as pure and clear as crystal. In page 13, we will recite the 5-line Mixima verse 3 times. Mimetse wete chenchen rezi, jime kembe wambo jampe yan, dupu malu jonze sanweda, kanche kembe tsugen songapa, losan drabe shabla sowade. Mimetse wete chenchen rezi, jime kembe wambo jampe yan, dupu malu jonze sanweda, kanche kembe tsugen songapa, Losan trape shala sowa de mime tsewe te chen chen rezi jime kembe wambo jabe dobo malu jose sanwe da kanche kembe tsumye tsonga losan trape shala sowa de.
Sangi Chedan Chogi Chonam La Chanchu Bardu Dani Kyapsu Dagi Chushi Givan Dagi Drola Penshi Sangi Rupar Sho Sangi Chedan Chogi Chonam La Chanchu Bardu Dani Kyapsu Dagi Chushi Givan Dagi Drola Penshi Sangi Rupar Sho Sangi Chedan Chogi Chonam La Chanchu Bardu Dani Kyapsu Dagi Chushi Givan Dagi Drola Penshi Sangi Rupar Sho Kangi Tuzini Zone Tawa Tamchi Pambi Chere Tambi Chun Dunze Kwadam Kela Chanse Lo Good morning everyone. Some take to someone some you keep in all the said. Service.
Eno samo mi kabe dole.
Tanganzu Sapasan Shoki and the Lamrim. Sajidi Tabshiri Rivala. Ani then some Sanji Mandruba Temba said, Pishitiris, Tabshiri Rivagi, and his sort of Tumaris have the sheriff on the Draco said.
We will continue with the teachings from Lama Tsongkhapa's milling presentation of this test of the path to enlightenment. And what we've been covering in the last few sessions, I'm just going to start the recording, sorry. So we will continue with the teachings of the Lamrim, and we're looking now at the section that explains the test of the path of those of the great scope. And the section that we will pick up from today belongs to the section of demonstrating that the state of enlightenment cannot be accomplished if we focus either on method alone or wisdom alone. So it cannot be attained by just one of them. The state of enlightenment is attained in combination through combination of these two, method and wisdom.
Have the sheriff song the dress. Have she song there? Any Kaukolaya that Sony song dress. Songoris. You can see Sony, you see so the sonum so. Sony la tenny. Any good Sony la tenny. Jebu Kuni dress. The good. Any lamp tapshi ni la tene ani jebu ko ni dru tuzuta tanda chik bara wasro.
So here Lama Tsongkhapa emphasizes that the state of enlightenment is attained through uniting or combining the two, method and wisdom. Sometimes we speak about it slightly differently. Rather than speaking of method and wisdom, we speak of the two collections, the two accumulations. So the two accumulations are spoken of as causes and depends upon which the result, the two bodies of Buddhas, is attained. So we can speak about it in using different terminology, but it boils down to the same point. It depends upon following the path of method and wisdom, practicing the paths of method and wisdom. The resultant state of Buddhahood is attained, the two bodies of Buddha.
Dilesha dinza tanda nganzu kap bab tani ta lamram tian ta thekba chimbu ge ane lamram nishi chiondi thekba chimbu ge lam nyamning ge rambati 탑신이 나라 만두바지 더 메바레스 더 탑신이 파티스 기르담바이나 아니 바로 좀 truki 라 간지다 바로 좀 truki 냠nel야 땅 예버스 리고고레스 티나 만두바지다 텔레 가서가다 마마 텔레 마나 마마 메바 텔레 뇨나 민디바 간지 안 딘디지게 베 나라 아니 냠네 치고도 하스라 다드 수디온디게 탑시니스 아니 민신 다운디 이식 초도 쏘는 거 초스
So here we're looking at the Mahayana presentation of the states of the path of enlightenment, the Lamrim. So Lamrim here is a presentation of Mahayana instructions. So we listen to those teachings. Geshe is teaching that basically it consists of the paths of method and wisdom. So there's nothing that is missing here in the presentation of the states of the path of enlightenment in relation to the paths that we need to cultivate, method and wisdom. There's nothing that is not included. So if we expand on those methods and wisdoms that the methods and wisdom that we speak about here, the method and wisdoms are the 6 perfections. So everything that we do needs to be included within the 6 perfections. Again, nothing would be missing out of that practice if we follow the practice of the 6 perfections. And not only that, the practice of the perfections is enumerated as 6, and this is a definite enumeration, which means that there's no need to speak of other perfections, and also it would be incorrect or insufficient if some of them will be missing. So this is what we need to practice. We need to practice the 6 perfections, the summation of which is method and wisdom. Or another way of summarizing them is into the 2 collections, the collection of merit and the collection of exalted knowledge.
디레스다 사빙안도 디마 식드 장바이나 되게도 상sam기 미키빈 돌레 이시기 촌네 뉴모바 탐제 뽕원게와 라소 소놈기 초기니 심전 탐제니 얼초원게와 라소스 좀된디 제들 라베 장주 선바 선바 쳔베 소놈다 이시 솔라 좀버키오스 통사 셰다 제마메바 탁바 템빈 돌리짱 도도 로셔라 돌리짱 장주 선바 남기 치원의 강 탈반의 강시 지빌랜드 탑기 마슨 셰름니 치와 탑기 숨비 셰름 타워스 셰르기 마슨 비 탑니 치와 셰르기 숨비 탑니 타워시 셰당생 셰당스
I'm wondering if the people that are sitting at the back, can you see the screen? It's a little bit lower. Is it okay? Okay. So the following words are taken from the sutra teachings, teaching the Tathagata's inconceivable secret. And it says, the accumulation of wisdom is what eliminates all mental afflictions. The accumulation of merit is what fully nurtures all sentient beings. Blessed One, since this is so, the Bodhisattva great beings put joyous effort into the accumulation of merit and wisdom. And it continues with the teachings of Vimalakirti Sutra, which says, in response to the question, what is the bondage of bodhisattvas and what is the liberation? It says, wisdom not conjoined with method is bondage. Wisdom conjoined with method is liberation. Method not conjoined with wisdom is bondage. Method conjoined with wisdom is liberation.
테레시다 레단디기 도도 쪼로디 가르송고레슬라운디 뉴문바다 시지드바 로당은 람름 공야디 람름레 친이치야기 미유 타투바디 산지 콤보토 비체도 라 산지 콤보토 벌치발야 산지 콤보토 발야 파르디 중인기 뉴문바다 시지드바 세고간자 안 디기 님보고 비체도다 람라야 로고로스 라 틴자 아니 디 님부초디 셰럽 세난다 이시기 소세난다 어디레스 다 딘지기 셔럽 뒤에 뉴문보다 시지 트발레 타르바 제비기 탑라야 님볼라 로바 제발라야 아니 탑기 생고 그레스 개지 탑기 마스나 아니 뉴문보다 시지 트발레 타르 마리스 디 나운드 칭데 그레스
So what it's stated here is, in terms of what we meditate on in the states of the path of enlightenment, when we teach the Lamrim tradition, when we listen to these teachings, what it boils down to is the need to destroy the two obscurations, afflictive obscurations and cognitive obscurations. We need to destroy them for attaining enlightenment. So if this is a goal is to attain the state of enlightenment, what we need to do is to meditate on the antidote to the two obscurations, and the antidote to the two obscurations will destroy them. So in order to meditate on the antidote to the two sets of obscurations, cognitive and afflictive obscurations, we need to develop wisdom. Wisdom is that which will destroy the two obscurations. But in order then to develop the wisdom that is capable of acting as the antidote to the two obscurations, it needs to be combined with method, right? So it needs to be qualified by method, and therefore we need the combination, the unification of the two, method and wisdom.
데리다 벤도 차샤바나 베나 anga zambling ginangita 지 미피게 정부 라 지당게 미 정부 쇼든지 열어다 라 다딘지 미 정부 될야 지 군족 차려 닌지 삼발라 소바 라 아니 딘지게 만다온디 그 정부디 아니 독사가 쇼려야 셴려야 베 아니 네 참친구 게대기 아니 가서다 딜은 로샤가 도와서라 개지 미 정부디 레야 아니 세비 셈기 심바이나 아니 심지어 탐질래야 편도 제통이 작도거라서 딘자 아니 셔럽기 톨래야 탑 고야기 펜션로디 아니 딜리도 차고레스
So just to illustrate that, for example, we have smart beings in this world, really intelligent smart beings. But if the behavior is not combined with compassion, if their compassion is not enough, insufficient, they can use the wisdom for negative ends, for negative things. They can inflict a lot of harm upon others, so much harm, if their compassion is insufficient. Whereas if those really smart people would also be motivated by a sense of care for others, they could be of so much help to others. And therefore, there needs to be this combination of both method and wisdom, or wisdom and compassion.
그래서 비게 상부 인바이나야 남주고 만다나 자발랍 첨부 드르투고 말아왔어. 근데 니초 여바이나 되니 장신 심전 탐제 슬라브라다 장신 심전 탐제라야 아니 펜디 드르투고 여바 어디 차고한자 소니 송드 드레스는다 탑시 송드 드레스야디 아니 먼저 드르자 타두고 산지 공부 드려야 몇 머로와 아니 지 총선의 시에는 몇진 디나로라야 지 몇센데 약부치 용야라야 아니 탑시 송들 고야디 배 기침부레도 왔어.
And also, we might be kind-hearted, but without having wisdom, again, we'll not be able to accomplish much in terms of benefiting others. Just being kind-hearted is not enough. So the type of attitude that we develop is seeking to attain happiness and bliss for the sake of all sentient beings. And in order to be able to do so, to attain benefit and happiness for the sake of all sentient beings, we need to combine both method and wisdom, or the two accumulations, the accumulation of merit and the accumulation of exalted wisdom. This is indispensable for attaining the state of enlightenment. But even if we look at that in a limited way, when we look at that just in terms of this life, if we in this life develop method and wisdom, that will transform ourselves as people to be good-hearted human being.
간지들이 로 셰럽 센난자 이식소 디 무연네츠 비기 덴바카리임바디 아니 제퉁인기 로텔이야 아니 이식소 셰럽 세고라스 다 디든 냠도 아니 잠제 조디 탑기 초그차 조디 잔주sem 디자와 닌질라 소버디다 조로스 다디 시덴라야 안지 수점당 서바당 종줄라 소바 아니 삼덴라 소바 디디야 아니 탑기 차도레스 라
And so when we speak of wisdom, we are referring to the accumulation of exalted knowledge, exalted wisdom, which means that it is the wisdom that sees reality, that is able to resolve reality. This is what is done by wisdom, the resolution or determination of what reality is. And then in terms of method, the method that we develop is love. A sense of affection to others, which means that here it is in terms of bodhicitta, the mind of enlightenment, which is rooted in compassion. And there are other things that become branches of that, like, for example, ethical discipline, concentration, the concentration of absorption. All of these become branches of the method side.
데다 간지 남주 가리어바 있느냐 닌지 메나 상기 투야디 야시야탄 바로 아니 닌지 메나 수수기 비기다 지 남주도디 뉴몽 비초스 줘야지마도 연구여서 말이스.
Which means that, in short, wisdom without compassion means that you will not be able to attain the state of Buddhahood. And also, without compassion, whatever you do in terms of your wisdom could go or could fall on the side of the afflictions.
There's a tabi choki cha pena ninji da chambala soba yongyalaya ani bezun kalijabni ra jugoyachi. Tam bezun kalijadi songju dan sobala soba ra songju dan soba yongyadia ani karso da zo di shimandawdi 아니 수름 로 수름 디야 셴라 네바 셰단 제바 나야 돈비 돈바티 간지 셴라야 아니 류가 익섬 강기장 권능장 아니 셴라야 지 만네바치 마파와치 또 순저야디 제르고치다 젠든 체슈디 로 젠든 체슈디 아니 셴라 네바 셰단 제바 돈야디 레스 Lamrim dina songyores.
And on the method side, we have an attitude of love and compassion towards others. And in order to develop love and compassion towards others, we need to put effort into it. We need effort, joyous effort, and we also need patience. And the basis of working on patience and joyous effort is ethical discipline, ethics. And the nature of ethics, the entity of ethics, is abstaining from harming others and the basis of that harm. So that in our actions, physical, verbal, and mental activities, we will not be harming others. Lama Tsongkhapa says in his presentation of the Lamrim that that is the best way to be of benefit to others. If we are thinking of the welfare of others, the best way that that could be accomplished is to abstain from harming others and the basis of that harm.
So delako rigba gunzen yorosra anzu ta shendun slaundi shenlaya pemba chewdi shendun chagorara shenlaya pemba sedi shenla manne bachena shenla pemba rosra 다 시행라 네버 시드 제버 동비기 동버들에 네버 디 the daily di labchembu shuchi ra labchembu shuchi jinso phashin tugi nyamnan la ya zo phi zaw di ani Tsultrim an di tola ya ani sobaset ma du sin songo do asra.
And there's a reason for saying that. If we want to think of the welfare of others, the benefit of others, what will be helpful to others, it would be not harming them. If you're not harming them, you are helpful to others, you benefit them. So this is so powerful, so effective to know the statement that abstaining from harming others is of benefit to others. The root for that, the root for the practice of that six perfections is ethical discipline and patience.
There that Tsultrim sobo zongri samden la soba ti da kongni kongzen peya la ya ani sherab gi singo ya ra sherab di kongni kongzen peya la ya jimba Tsultrim sobo zongri samden la soba singo ya kanji jinso phashin tugi nyamlen di ani da karso da chigro chigla den rogo ya chik ra da teba chimbi chugi nyamlen dog diondi jinso phashin tugi nalala ya dün songo da zero da di ani tsoni senanda tabshi ni senanda da di kechim bu shochiro ga dün da di samdan tu bayna ani dig deba da dina mandu baji sosu kari bezun kari kali gel debayna dina mandu na ani teba chimbi chu chaya di be khabu insares.
And so we practice the six perfections: generosity, ethics, patience, choice effort, absorption. And all of them contribute to wisdom, but also all of them need to be qualified by wisdom, in that each one of the perfections is supportive of the other perfections. In that sense, they work in synchronicity, they are supportive of each other, which means that as we then combine in this fashion the six perfections, we combine method and wisdom, the two accumulations. This is an important part of our practice. And if we can think about it, how we do it in our practice, it would be good, it would be beneficial to our practice. And otherwise, if we don't combine them, if we don't bring them into unison in this way, we might be really working hard in a practice and yet not be able to accomplish much.
Gaya gori les chanju sambanam gi lam ndor na ni de ni kansin na da des tabda sherabo sheso tenam gi ten lamron le kyang sherapar chinjordan tawi driba semin gyurs tije ni mushi ja yi driba malu pambishe sherapar chin enjur tagtu tabchi gombar cha tabdan tv sherabdan sherab tv tabta kyang kansin chim shesomba dewi nika pama cha shedan sherab paru chin bambi jimbi parchin la so gewi sonam tamje da jawa namki tabsi tabkum onki dani ki kanshi sherab nam gomba teni chanju myutu top dame chibu gombe min gombu kamda genche nam gewa meba tok kirwi rangshin toni shibani sherab chin yongsi chi sawar songshi Zuna rumbuchin dole, jambala sobe tabki cha tamchi, sanwi namba tamchi chokda denbi toni gongkuba songla. Namba tabo dewa lekyan chanchu samba namki, chanchu ki cherdu, chindruk dribala. Mulumbu tak, shishin kona labar chayi, lama namki chishicha shi sunjimba semso. Yang mulumbu tak, sulchi kona chanchu bade, tomba niki tsuki su shi sedi. Deni choba yonsu matakban gyuru shi sos.
So we have quite a few scriptural citations that support this position. So we'll read through them. It begins with the Geshe Hill Sutra, and it says the Bodhisattva path, in brief, is made up of two. What are the two? The method and wisdom. The significance is also clearly taught in the Lamb for the Path of Enlightenment by Atisha. It says, the obstructions will not be exhausted without engaging in perfect wisdom. Therefore, in order to eliminate all afflictive and cognitive obscurations, the yoga of the perfection of wisdom should always be practiced combined with method. That is why method divorced from wisdom as well as wisdom divorced from method are referred as bondage. Therefore, you should not abandon either. And the victors explain method as the accumulations of virtue, the perfection of generosity, and so forth, except for the perfection of wisdom. Great beings who cultivate the wisdom aspect through familiarity with methods thereby quickly achieve enlightenment, not by meditating on selflessness alone. Wisdom is thoroughly explained as knowing the emptiness of inherent existence, which is to realize that aggregates, elements, and sources are not produced. The questions of Ratnachuda Sutra teaches that it is necessary to meditate on the emptiness that possesses all supreme aspects, completing all the method factors of generosity and the rest. The gathering all the threads sutra says, foolish people seek to repudiate the Bodhisattva's practice of the 6 perfections for the sake of enlightenment, saying, you should train in the perfection of wisdom alone. What is the use of training in anything else? And foolish people also say one becomes enlightened by only one approach, the approach of emptiness. However, they do not have completely pure conduct.
다들 니나다 조디 아니 산지 좀 된 얘기다 도 혼토야 되니 야가르 케비우소 아니 조 조집반데 아디샤기다 람르를 소보마 롱다니 아니 nembuchu 송데디 ngaran surang la ya songu yobati sorwaina 아니 샘리야 소난치 로 샘슈지 다 교화지 용그로와스 다 디메바이나 라마츠가비 딘지 송구도 아삼산로치 아니 송사 신지라 임비기 나와서로지 켄 데데바이나 아니 소소라 팽그마르와스로 간자 아니 강송바디 소소라니라야 송구도 삼삼로치 소와지 네버도 고고서레스
So here we read through a few scriptural citations. Mainly we rely upon the sutras of the Bhagavan, but also we rely upon the writings of the Indian masters. We relied on the words of Atisha, and we read through some of the quotations from the writings of Atisha, which are poignant. So if we think about them, if we make mental efforts in accomplishing them, we will be able then to bring those elements that they speak of into unity. Otherwise, if we just read through those sources and think that, yeah, this is what Atisha says, but I'm going to use other sources, a lot of mental transformation will not be enacted. So the type of attitude that we bring into dealing with citations such as these is to think that they are talking to me. Atisha was speaking directly to me. So if we think of them teaching directly to us, we will open our mind to mental transformation. We will allow that mental transformation to occur.
제가저기 최년당당 렉처 년당이디 로거로 왔다. 렉처 피들 지당게 미기 땀시들이 지기야 봐나. 디 가르시도 삼삼로치. 년저를 당한 최년디 딘디촌에 제만도스라. 최년디 최강송바딩을 나라니라야 아니 라위유 삼비게 소와치
그런 게 렉처라인.
렉처 빈 땀시 치그라다 저당게 미 땀시
오케이.
델 렉처스라라 렉처
인치게 라기야.
렉처 이게 말해 바인지게 시네
오케이. 오케이.
야 저 렉처니 그 직시에도 거의 데리게지 야고 시했어 거의 딘디시에도 세줘라 파샤샤 최딩 할라고도 삼성 딩이 배마서 개발해서레스
So then the attitude that we bring into listening to this teaching should be rather than listening to something that sounds nice, right? Things that are nice to hear. So sometimes you listen to certain discourse given by someone, you think that, yeah, no, they speak really nicely. They're saying it in a really nice fashion, but you don't really get involved with what they say. You don't let it affect your mind. So rather than thinking that what they say sounds really nice, or kind of it's like a really eloquent way of saying that, we should look at the context and the content and appreciate the content of those teachings, of those statements.
Terida kadi jimbala sobi joba namla hobani tongi toba tempo mena ingis dan harapasana tindita tindisengi chongyora da disungorda tempo mena ingi yona ti choko nyamnas 대단 사탕부 속 töbi Geshe namdan kyabardu mido yishila on töbi sagibi Geshe joba muguban gyona teni riba mayindi sajibu riri la yang jinso zu ukiwa riri yinyang lama namja mijoba mayinu shi sajiba le sombe sa riri lan pashin chuk chukam ju jobar song shin kyabardu sagibi kapsu nyumu sebi Juba tamji shivi tuandambala nibitse. Sanji namji toni ki toban ditsamji sanjawa minude. Nyera namji jan ditubi so. Ngeki kodan yishi tang shinla soba tsemeban dadala tuishik. Ngeki topla soba yang kela meji tishir zonju zomshik. Simje mashiwa nyumun hatsuk ki jubala soba somshik. Zobandaya maturshik chiso ki kurne. 장섬 기초벌 법급을 세나 시한을 따지미 비체로스
And it continues with saying, one may claim training in the conduct of generosity and so forth is necessary if one does not have a stable realization of emptiness. But if one has that, it is sufficient. It is possible that some people would think like that. And it says, if this were so, conduct would not be necessary for the victor's children or bodhisattvas who have attained the first ground and so forth, nor especially for the victor's children on the 8th ground who have achieved power over non-conceptual wisdom. However, this is incorrect, for the 10 ground sutra teaches that on each of the 10 grounds, one perfection such as generosity becomes paramount. But that does not mean that the remaining ones are not practiced. Therefore, on each of the ground, all 6 or all 10 perfections are said to be practiced. The tuktu yamana chuchu den nyana chigides.
loksain
The loksain.
aning nalameki ibardu loksain
Okay. In particular, on the 8th ground, where the bodhisattvas has exhausted all mental afflictions and therefore abides in the ultimate with all elaborations specified, the Buddhas exhort him and say, Buddhahood cannot be achieved through this mere realization of emptiness. This realization is achieved even by Shravakas and Parityeka Buddhas, or hearers and solitary realizers. Look at my immeasurable bodies, wisdom, Buddha fields, and so forth. You do not have my powers and the like, therefore set about it with joyous effort. Think of unpacified sentient beings agitated by various mental afflictions. Do not give up patience either. If the Buddhas are so emphatic in explaining to 8th ground bodhisattvas the need to train in bodhisattva conduct, this obviously applies even more so to others.
nga lami gi lam thombu kapsun dedam menjawa ye me kyang re tadeste kewa jir hakdang pashi nila chanchu du sem kewa ni tang haru du chumba chula lobe lamgi lu tomo wa rakpa shigla drawa ni harshi sandos.
When it continues in saying, although there are indeed differences in the context of the higher parts of unsurpassed mantra, it was already explained above that both the mantrayana and paramitayana are the same by and large in sharing the structure of the path of the two types of bodhicitta and training in the six perfections.
Redadin kala nenga chi karsungores laundi nga ki nga lammi ki lam tombu kala lebi kala ya lochigi ngong la ya ani tabshi nigan sayanchi gomya jigi yungu yores diko tokbi rimba ani tsen tombu la lebi kabgi mandawaji re mado ani chi dille mebi kabla ya ani tanda songdeyagi ani sherab tongbani tobi sherab tang tab ani samja tamjala mebi zawa nyingi chenbo di tambi chanchu semla ya ani tongdrega toni ani labgoya di ngada pashi nigala ya ani chikbaris.
One point that is highlighted in this section is relevant to the system of the mantrayana, the practice of Tantra, particularly in High Yoga Tantra. When you reach a high level of realization in High Yoga Tantra, you can reach a state in which one mind combined in one and as one entity, both method and wisdom. So both method and wisdom are integrated as a single entity in one mind. But even if you haven't reached those high realizations of High Yoga Tantra, still in your practice, or in our practice, we need to develop the wisdom that realizes emptiness and to combine it with great compassion, which means with bodhicitta. We need to train so that we become capable of bringing these two together into our practice of the Mahayana path. So we need both the method side and the wisdom side to be brought together. This is the same for both the mantra system, which means Tantra, but also for the sutra system.
Lo jambang kundu masombar ani kaptula drone lensha tindiji sawani ni yomarwas pena pigi tachi du stumshagi chalachi pigi ani pagba gyatambag sudu stumshagi chi ani ki chala dodo de sulembala ya gablog pagba dirimbe chin konro ki malembardi ani di malembar sulen tabshi yomarwas de nanshingi nyamlengi sen tombudi 아니 파다디 탑 데우르지 로치고 공ole yourself 탑 데우르지 딘지 탑 데우 랭야야 아니 토몰람잔디 원도 마송 그토니 용야 자원이 매반자 아니 나란 솔이야 아니 탑시 니데 손제 그토니 아니 냠수 말나바 탑 매바지 디자다디 개점부 쇼지레슨 단디는 쇼송도 아서와.
Which means that for the practice of Tantra, it is crucial to cover the common paths. It depends upon the common paths that we'll be able then later on to reach those high levels. Without them, if we think that I don't need to bother myself with those common paths, let me get straight to this practice of High Yoga Tantra where I can develop in my mind as one entity, both method and wisdom, so I don't need to bother with the other things. We will not be able to do that. Without covering the common paths, we will not be able to reach that state. Similarly, it's the same way that, in some sense, you can say that you might receive a package that is wrapped with 100 layers of wrappings. In order to extract that thing within that package, you need to remove the wrappings. You need to remove them one after another. If you don't remove the wrappings, you'll not be able to extract what is found at the very heart of this package. So similarly, here, when we think of the practice of Hatha Yoga Tantra, it might seem to be quite alluring in thinking that it is quite simple, it is easy to put into practice, it hits home in terms of what I need to do, and therefore I'm not going to bother with practicing the common paths. I will get straight to the point with the practice of Hatha Yoga Tantra. But really, without covering the common paths, the practice of Hatha Yoga Tantra will not come about, will not develop. And therefore, the common paths are indispensable.
Then, Kadi Jambala Sobo Muguba Mindugis. Chiam Mesamba Teland, that Sangdi. Jinsha Jinshi Jinzis Mishembi. Mimi Jimba Sangla. Teshin to Lama Namjan Sangshin. Dole Jang Riri Nanda Trudu Deva Sombi Chero Nyamnas. Tetsam Ji Tsawarin Guna. Mudik Jingi. Sem Tsichigbi Shinen Namlaya. Nyambar Shabu Tuna. Tether to Shamba Maybe. Passion Tamji Sawan Gula. Kabar to Sachuba de Sombatar. Nyeranlaya Chunyela. Number Mutobi Shiola. Dela Nyamba Shabitsi. Chansam Ki Choba Tamji Sawan Gibi. Tikjemban Guru. Riri Nando Trudun Duba Sombe. Tetsam Ki Choban Duna. Mandambo Walaya. Pai Chiva Chuchi. Jimbati. Shizoji. Druga Yoba Sombe. Te Kwana Chawa Rixos.
And then it continues in saying, the opponent might respond, we do not assert that generosity and so forth are necessary, but they are completing the mind with no thoughts, because non-apprehending generosity is complete by non-adherence to the recipient, to the act of giving, and to the substance given. The remaining perfections are likewise complete in this way. This is also because the sutras say that the 6 perfections are contained in each one of them. If all the perfections were complete simply through this, they would also be complete in the shamatha of a tirtika's single-pointed mind at the time of meditative equipoise, since there is no adherence to those 3 in that way.
Dandi Kasoda Chongada Masona Pigi Ji Yila Michibi Tawa Ani Sonding Tsulaya Tsu Chagoras Kazingimang and the Droyer Tampena Ani Hashan Tawa Dinji Ra the Duzu Chitangi Tawa Di Tawa Dita Norgyuros Tawa Norgyuros Inaya Duzu Dux any Chonga Teondi a Pendo di Ani Tawa Shinju Malova Pigi Ani Sivu Shuch Ma Ani Ten Tuyagi Tabli and Drogosares J. Mejeba D. Tony Piggy and it's some drip to goodness like that. Drum mutuk top. And it's J. Mejeba Dige and a pento metanti the lonely niggy going to drum on the one nigga tower kind body and it's see shoes to turn to Yagi. Casota Kenley and Drogoras.
Then it says, in particular, as the 10 Grand Sutra says, Shravakas and Pratyeka Buddhas who have a non-conceptual wisdom of reality would become Mahayanis during meditative equipoise because the entire Bodhisattva conduct would be complete. And then it says, if you assert this alone is insufficient because it is taught that all the 6 are included in each perfections, then it would also be appropriate just to offer a mandala with a verse giving cow dung together with water, since it is said that all 6 are present in it. The following analogy is given in order to illustrate conduct conjoined with a view and wisdom conjoined with method. Here it refutes this mode of meditation in which we empty our mind of all thoughts and we do not think of anything. And we referred to that mode of meditation before. It was attributed to this Chinese monk called in the Tibetan literature Hashang, who was propounding this method of meditation, this mode of meditation in which we do not take anything as an object of mind. And he asserted that this non-conceptual meditation, which we do not take anything as an object of mind, is what is required in order to become Buddhahood. So here we refute this form of meditation as the main meditation that leads to Buddhahood. So it is what we have asserted before is that generosity and so forth, all of them are contributing to the generation of wisdom, and therefore they are components in the generation of wisdom. But also on top of that, we can refute through reasons and also scripture citations that the main meditation to be done is a non-conceptual meditation, which we do not think of anything whatsoever.
Pena dandali kar sugars laundi kar shunya sugars laundi anzo ta tawa loba singi jora tawa loba ra ani gombulo do yabselo sobigi tawa de mintimbi tawa loba singi di kawkala ya anzo ta tawa loba singi de dukjare samsam rochi ani dindigi lo kisig dosra anzo ta nyamnyong tongsen ani 소술라야 냠냠 통신 딘디 로기 시그다 디 자원이 기 유메이서레스 라 깨나 디메이서다 라 독자 임바디 노르바디 콘 노르바디 노르지 제초거레스 딘디 따와디 따와 민팀바지 시온디 아니 따와 양 타바디 자르 뜨니 시에기 고급지 차르고서레스 한선디 디카디 겨울무치기 단다 사가다 용콜이야 텐트 때비 까슈텔이야 아니 딘디지 송송 루두야시 마 치온디 단 공부 루두기 따와 트마 메바 아니 디 아니 레벤 파발라다 아니 산지짱 반전 다와 타발 소베다 자르드니 제요로스 라다 디칼이야 페나 아니 추진 투나와세지 다 nen가 차부 슈지 아니 추진 투나와 용 고단디 아니 레벤 레딩 제기 아니 공부 루두기 따와디 장기 비타발에 순데니 셰바디 페발 때니 아니 추진 투나미 남자디 텔데니 텐도 왔다 티 간질 레벤 레딩 제기 까든레 때니 아니 추진 투나미 남자 시부 띵사보디 용야들 레벤 레딩 제기 장기도 따발 때니 총자와 이바디 시우슈 차도스라 디난신기 야나 하상기 아니 진 일메시비 따와디 셰발레 때니 아니 장골로 무슨 거 버침비 따와 트마메바디 아니 세르 로얄이야 펜도슈 총대기로지 그러 장골로 무슨 거 버침비 디게 아니 따와 남다 마이바 따와 남다 디피 짱단디 아니 시우슈지다 아니 리버 드림니 송거야디야 진 일메시 따와디 슈치무슈 송디 다디 디 마이비 드르시다 리버 슈지 짤더니 마소나 아니 밀라 트르 마르와스로 이제 디 독자이 레스 마사바지 디 노르루 노르단디 톨이야 아니 제주치는 줘봐나 아니 탑시 니간 상야지 라 나도 독자 레스 온디기 아니 탑다 TV 셔럽세야디 차도고 서레스
And so when we recognize that this mode of meditation in which you think of nothing at all is an erroneous view, in that it is an erroneous view in thinking that this mode of meditation in which you do not think of anything at all is the main method of meditation for attaining enlightenment. So thinking, claiming that it is a wrong view and disagreeing with this view does not make it be a bad view, in a sense that we do not ascribe certain evilness or maliciousness to this view. Because sometimes when we do speak about wrong views, it could be that in our mind we have an attitude arising thinking that therefore they are malicious view, they're evil views. It could happen, Geshe says that at least kind of know when he thinks of his experience or his reactions to certain points in scriptures, it could be that sometimes when we discuss wrong views, there is a sense of evilness that is ascribed to those views. But we shouldn't think about it like that. And that if we recognize a wrong view to be wrong, which means that it is mistaken with respect to a particular thing, it is erroneous with respect to a particular thing, it will then give rise to understanding what the real view is, what the correct view is. So it actually provides us with an opportunity for generating the wisdom that understands the correct view. And therefore it is not no wrong views are not evil or malicious views, they're actually aids or assistance in generating the correct view, which is something that is honest the Dalai Lama referred to recently when he gave a public address in the at the time of the 15th of this fourth Tibetan month that is called Sakadawa. And the way that he spoke about it was in relation to the writings of Nagarjuna. So he said that Nagarjuna presented a philosophical view, and there were the followers of Nagarjuna, so Aryadeva and Buddhapalita and Chandakirti. They made effort in explaining the views of Nagarjuna and explained them in a correct way. So they presented the correct views. And then we have Bhava Viveka. And Bhava Viveka explained a particular topic, which is called, which is debated. It is called a common subject of interest appearing in common to both sides of the debate. So what Bhava Viveka did was he combined his own philosophical views with what Nagarjuna wrote. And as such, he clearly then opened the way or presented the philosophy of the Madhyamika Svatantrika school of thought, the middle way autonomy school of thought. So in some sense, we can say that it is due to the kindness, you can say, of Bhava Viveka that now we have a clear presentation of the Madhyamika Svatantrika's position with respect to whether there is a subject of interest that is commonly appearing to both sides in a debate. Without him, this whole topic would be lacking clarity, but because Bhava Viveka presented his views and mixed it up with what Nagarjuna said, we can now be more clear about whether we can assert that there is a subject of interest that is commonly appearing to two sides in a debate, or whether there's nothing as such. So Bhava Viveka had a wrong view with respect to that, and yet still, because of his wrong view, now we can be more clear about what is the right view. And similarly here, when we criticize this mode of meditation that was promoted by this Chinese monk, Hashang, that propounded a non-conceptual meditation in which you empty your mind of all thoughts, don't think of anything, as a method for attaining the state of enlightenment. It actually helps clarifying the views as presented by Lama Tsongkhapa, what the correct view is in that sense. So here Lama Tsongkhapa emphatically negates or refutes this position of this Chinese monk Hashang, and as such, it makes his view become much clearer. And therefore, when you make effort in refuting a particular view that is erroneous, it can help you to eradicate some mistakes that you might have in your mind with respect to the mode of meditation. And therefore, it is, you can say, an aid in the development of the combination of both method and wisdom.
탑시 송제 치고르슬라브라스라 탑시 송제 디카레슬라운디 아니 비 랭인 넘버 지비 넘주 가주스 여바이네야 아니 탑기 마스나 아니 더 뉴무 초스도 그랬어 뉴무 초스도 그랬어 베나 아니 단지시바 나제 따원 노르교인 바 통니 따원 노르여반 통 따와디 노려봐도 문진 치나 고 셔버리스라 셔버리스 다 디게 노르교생의 디야 야로 돌바이나 아니 탑다 TV 셔버세 차도도스 진짜 아니 간주 가드이나야 아니 무슨 칸르지야 아니 소차 칸르지나야 아니 샘기 야로 돌모로 왔지 라 샘기 야로 돌바이나 아니 닌지 냠렌디 라도요레스 닌지 냠렌 라와이나 아니 탑다 TV기 셔버세 간지 아니 탑기 차디 라도거레스 아니 탑기 차디 라와이나 아니 잔주sembe dombal로 써봐 간지 소수기다 냠네 아니 삼을 라도야지 렌도서라 냠네 삼을 라도야지 그 농투 이방 문진 제투바 있느냐 아니 디 차니 농투 여버 균센 소니 아니 야워 더 롱만도스 간지 라
In short, here again, we come to the point of needing to combine both method and wisdom. We might have the wisdom, the intelligence that can well distinguish between what is good and what is bad, what is positive and negative, but without the method side, it could end up assisting our afflictions. So we might have a mistaken view. We make effort in removing that mistaken view and we develop the correct view. So to recognize a mistaken view as mistaken is what we call wisdom. And yet, if this wisdom is divorced of method, we can then end up neglecting or completely casting aside those that have such mistaken views. So this is something that we ought not to do. We ought not to neglect or to cast aside people, to cast aside living beings. If we do so, it would be indicative of having no compassion. It would be then a case of wisdom, which is divorced of the method side. So if we act in this way, in terms of a practice, in terms of the vows that we have taken, the Bodhisattva vows and so forth, it would mean that we will be losing our practice. We will be losing the vows that we have. So even if we develop wisdom, if it is divorced of method, it will still mean that our practice will be lost.
대다 간다스 고그레스야 되다. 라 아니 답시 송드세디 간다스 답시 송드세고세 디텐다 송거다. 대나스 다비스비 쩌바탕 탑기스비 셔럽니 베나스 부뚜고 시위기 냥인기 나리 마티 샹다 마와솔은 주비세 르지짱 냥인기 슈기 마다야 로 탐지 냥인기 로 몸바 셴도스 라 게제시 피리야스 스템라야 낭기 피게 부시위 냥인기 삼로직 더 요르다이나야 그 낭기 요바이나야 아니 로 탐지 냥인기 로지레스나 마레스 디셴 셴데 셴라야지 아니 삼로타야 게제시에 듣고 요르다이나야 디다 냠도 냥인기 로드 낭기 요바나신기 아니 남주 칸다지 피길이야 tombanila soba 칸다지 samtam바이네 디 냠도 아니 닌지글로드 낭기 여바이나 아니 셔럽디 아니 탑기스비 셔럽세드리스.
And it says the following analogy is given in order to illustrate conduct conjoined with the view and wisdom conjoined with method. When a mother tormented by sorrow at the death of her beloved child engages in conversation with other people and the like, no matter what mental states arise, she does not give up her sorrow because it is so powerful, even though not all her mental states are those of sorrow, which means that now, considering that state of loss, she might have a conversation with another person, thinking of the import of that conversation. So it does not mean to say that at that point, it is not affected by sorrow, but still you can say that this being able to hold a conversation does not mean to say that being able to hold a conversation and saying a particular thing does not mean to say that this conversation is a conversation of sorrow, but it is still affected by it. So similarly, it says, if the wisdom realizing emptiness is very powerful, then even though the mental states that observe your generosity, prostration, circumambulation, and so forth, do not realize emptiness, this does not contradict the fact that they operate with the power of the wisdom.
Re Mambasenzo, Tony Tobi, Sherab Shutana, Jimba Tomata, Chatan, Corvaso, Chibitsi, Tedala, maybe Lord Tinam, Tony Toba Miya, T. Shudan Demba Juba Mangala, Tongo Tavala, Chanju Sem, Shutaba, Montana, Tony Tengenzela, Yambashavitse, Chanju Sem, the Mus Megan, T. Zisamba Mangalde, Tabshi Matribution, Tedaros.
So this analogy of sorrow is an analogy that explains how it is possible to generate wisdom, which is combined with compassion. Similarly, if the wisdom realizing emptiness is very powerful in the middle of that paragraph, then even though the mental states that observe your generosity, prostration, circumambulations, and so forth do not realize emptiness, this does not contradict the fact that they operate with the power of that wisdom. If you start off with the intense power of bodhicitta, as you do at the beginning of a meditation session, although bodhicitta is not manifest during the concentration of emptiness, that does not mean it is not influenced by it. The way in which wisdom and method are not separate is also like that.
Yeah.
So Jesus Paul is saying, if is it possible or common to confuse the position of Hashang and its refutation with the teachings of Dzogchen and Mahamudra? Dila chia kasa semla chiema ilame chevasea dila tawadi dan Dzogchen dan Chegechembogi tawadi then the chikpa dawachi reves imana tawa bed logares
Bed logares. Bed logares. Normandus, Jesus Kushkara, Normandus.
So Paul Geshe is saying that please do not confuse this mode of meditation that Hashan was propounding and its refutation with the position of Mahamudra or Dzogchen. So they are different.
Tasonumji Sojin Debu, Korvi Ludan, Longjudan, Sering was so Sombaya, Tour Machati, Tabshetan Turner, Tedariya, T. Sana, Tarbata Tamji Kivi, Gu, Shindu Rondi, Renjen Chamale, Zuki Kunun Dordina, Jabosonum Solitron, She Sombatar, Long Tayesos.
There's a grant to the Kavakari, not special in the chick. Can Baba patient being Katu Laya Mare in a patient. Couldn't tell the ten away now, Kavakari resistant.
Soching Tawada, Chi Limited Tawani.
Yama Charichimo.
Tadi Yawarmuji Sonju the Tuta Niendevana, Besiu Hakogres. Kaisana Chaja Chambudi, Eugene Tavalia Jargores, Yug Tawata, Gomuludu Gitawatelia, Yug Tawata, Eugene Tawaniores. Yul Pig Tombanindi, Yug Tawateries. Tombanin Tobi Lo, the Eugene Tawateries. The Tombani Tobi Lo Pig Trashu Tartubati, and in Colontamat Penatishi Niminto Kalia, Zatutun Sondiati. Kanji Chaja Chambo Senanda, and Zoba Chambo di Zo Telajay Saris.
So Geshe continued with the reading, but then I stopped Geshe and said, actually, kind of, if I look at what Paul was getting at in his question, the question is actually saying, what's the difference then between the Mahamudra and Dzogchen meditation practices and a meditation which you don't take anything whatsoever as an object of mind? This is what I think what Paul was getting at. So then Geshe said, well, Izana spoke about before about Dzogchen teachings, which give a presentation that it focuses rather than the object, it focuses on the subject, which means the consciousness that meditates. So then looking at the explanation of Nagarjuna. So Nagarjuna explained in his writings both object and subject. Particularly here, when we look at the teachings of Nagarjuna, the object is taken to be emptiness. This is the object that we are dealing with. Then the subject is wisdom that realizes emptiness. So in the teachings of Dzogchen and Mahamudra, there is an emphasis on cultivating a particular type of subject. It still will take in the same object, but there is an emphasis on the subject. So this emphasis on the subject, which is wisdom that realizes emptiness, or the realization of emptiness, from the point of view of Dzogchen and Mahamudra, we cultivate a very subtle subject, which is based on the teachings that the Buddha gave in the final turning of the wheel in the sutra that is called the Tathagatagarbha Sutra.
근데 치수로 이게 자기 전부였는데 조칭이 따왔는데 제시경에다 망부 연구하라서 가시기 제일면 집이 따와라 반 제시 결정이 된데 요사리스. 근데 그런 좀 제시 결단지에 모두 자위 디인고에스키 요마르와스. 겨울무치기 비기 담마 조첸다 차제 전부 제시 결단 시샤바이나 아니 제일면 집이 따와 마인바디 제시 결단 바리스.
But then there were some subsequent teachings that have arisen explaining the views in the Mahamudra practices and Dzogchen practices. So it is possible that those who explain Dzogchen and Mahamudra practices to be meditations in which you do not take anything as an object of mind, you don't attend your mind to anything. It is possible that some people might explain Mahamudra and Dzogchen in this way, but this is just what they're saying. When you look at how His Holiness the Dalai Lama explains that, it is clearly that he doesn't explain these modes of meditations as meditations in which you do not attend your mind to anything.
근데 rigbadoji tangara samda rigbe cheba na chaje chembu gongguyananda 아니 조바 침부 공부였는데 아니 장관놈 선거 침부 송대야게 피기다 아니 대돈 있으면 비시 간지 가르 공부 여바이나야 조드 가르에서는 님보다 시지적 다 비치죠 디 님보야 아니 디 공부 여러스 그라 다 님보다 시지적은 저 말이 받으리스 저 말이 받이 가르에서는 말이 받이게 율티 유틴이 트벌 준비 로테 이 바자도 제바들이야 나 님마다 시지도 봤어 라고 그랬어 다 제야 일람 제바 디기 아니 안 말이보다 디샤베 바자라야 뇌당지 고그러 와서라 칼카고 베어레스 디 뇌당지 여바이나 디고르다 딜은 디고르스 가르 공바이나라 딜 만네나 가르 공바이나 펜도 여마레스
But you can also think about it in terms of logic. So you can think about Mahamudra practices or Dzogchen practices. In the writings of Lama Tsongkhapa refers to an exalted knowledge that is indivisible, that is the indivisibility of bliss and emptiness. What we need to do is to clear a way to destroy afflictive obscurations and cognitive obscurations, the root of which is ignorance. Ignorance that takes phenomena to exist objectively. So the root of afflictive and cognitive obscurations, those things that we need to destroy, is grasping at objective existence together with the imprints. Now, when we think of the practices of meditation that we do and whether they harm ignorance that is adhering to objective existence, well, if you do not attend your mind to anything, does it apply an antidote to ignorance and the imprints of ignorance? Does it harm them? Well, you can do this form of meditation. This does not mean to say that you're not allowed to do this form of meditation, but just in terms of whether it helps you to undermine and damage ignorance of that is grasping at objective existence and the imprints of that ignorance. If you don't attend to mind to anything, it will do them no harm. So to put it succinctly, it is not of benefit because it is not informed by bodhicitta or wisdom. It is just emptying your mind. Shezan todo din chewe na dila pendo shida membe gi gyum sankares na dila chanchu gi sen tan shara gi masimba imbares di soso sem tomba da wochi so inchang dila pendo den de shida mebachi den de chi lawinas.
다가라 내나 송거도스라 예 단데 디게 지일면 집에 따와 챙인디 아니 찬주그 쌈다 니지 고메디 이게 엄부터 뚝부터 속에 아니 야 남을 러비야 치더래 마도 엄부 nom부게 곰가이 하마스 가징이 마치 라그다 디 하샹 같은디 송거도스라 디 소리즈라 간지 지일면 집에 치는더니 아니 당한주 때나 오늘 팬도 매죠. 드레스라다 간지 지일면 제 som마다나 제롬식 송난도 지일면 집에 검니 지엠해봐지 용거를 모두 좀 드시면 편하게 해요 말했어. 응. 람람 남도.
Yeah, you can say that. Previously, when we looked at the section of the text in which Lama Tsongkhapa refuted the position of this Chinese monk Hashang, the position that was presented by him or by those who think in this way was that the meditation of on compassion and bodhicitta are meditation designed for those of lesser faculties, those of dull faculties. Those that have sharp faculties do not need them. They need to employ meditation in which you do not take anything at all as an object of mind. In that sense, you do not attend your mind to anything. So we have looked at the refutation of this position before, and this is the type of position that Lama Tsongkhapa here refutes again. This non-conceptual meditation in which you take nothing whatsoever as an object of mind.
간지 도도 디 가르슬란디 지일면 집에 디 코나 따와 쳐도 겨버리 디 코나 타도 버리세디 단 놀고 버리스 모든 간지 레 당보월이야 남도 하자 락 비까올이야 안 딤지 테스치 니 상로마단 데바이나 갑두라야 샘라 펜도 매버딘디다 샘 비마 박페부용이야 안 내가 아니 먼저지 상로 하자 망타원디 아니 기부 매기 차거도 왔어 두줄 팽겨서레스라 야지야다면 팽겨서레스.
And although here it says that this meditation in which you do not attend your mind to anything is not going to do anything with respect to what you want to accomplish at the end, it does not mean to say that temporarily it has no value. Because particularly when you start your spiritual path or meditation practices, it could be the case that some have a mind that is subject to an excessive conceptuality. The mind is so packed with different thoughts and conceptions that it could be this method in which you do not attend your mind to any object could be help in terms of at least pacifying some levels of excessive conceptuality, which can also contribute to a mind that is unhappy or a mind that is uptight. So it is a meditation that can temporarily bring some peace or relaxation to one's mind. So it's not that this mode of meditation has no value whatsoever. So thank you very much. We will leave it here for today. We will finish off with a final Lamrim dedication. For my two collections, vast space that have amassed from working with effort at this practice for a great length of time, may I become the chief living Buddha for all those whose mind's wisdom eye is blinded by ignorance. Even if I do not reach this state, I be held in your loving compassion for all lives, Manjushri. May I find the best of complete creative paths of the teachings, and may I please all the Buddhas by my practice. Using skillful means drawn by the strong force of compassion, may I clear the darkness on the minds of all beings with the points of the path as I've discerned them. May I uphold Buddha's teachings for a very long time. With my heart going up with great compassion, in whatever direction the most precious teachings have not yet spread, or once spread have declined, may I reveal this treasure of happiness and aid. May the minds of those who wish for liberation be granted bounteous peace, and the Buddha's deeds be nourished for a long time by even this graded path of enlightenment, completed due to the wondrous virtuous conduct of the Buddhas and their sons. May all humans and non-human beings eliminate adversity and create conducive conditions for practicing the excellent paths, never be parted in any of the lives from the purest path praised by the Buddhas. Whenever someone makes effort to act in accordance with the tenfold Mahayana virtuous practices, may always be assisted by the mighty ones, and may oceans of prosperity spread everywhere.